So, Murderbot Episode 1 came out swinging, with killer robots, shady corporations, and a snarky, emotionally confused cyborg who just wants to binge-watch space soap operas in peace. But Episode 2, it pumps the brakes, and things get weird. Welcome back to your nerdy show. I'm your host, Spoiler Master. We've got secret missions, awkward robot-human therapy sessions, centipedes the size of your nightmares, and a crater that might be hiding aliens or, worse, corporate secrets. Murderbot's left behind while the humans wander into danger again. And just when you think things can't get more uncomfortable, someone tries to snoop in its memory banks and ends up with way more than they bargained for. What really happened to the DeltFall team? Why is Murderbot starting to act like it has feelings? And who or what is blowing up drones out in the wilderness? Strap in, because we're breaking down everything from subtle emotional breakdowns to massive insect graveyards in this deep dive into Murderbot Episode 2. And trust us, slow episode or not, there's a lot more going on beneath the surface. Let's get into it.
Looks fine.
It's probably best that SecUnit didn't come out.
Why did Mensa leave Murderbot behind? Let's start with the elephant in the room. Why on earth did Mensa, the person who seems to be Murderbot's biggest advocate, agree to leave it behind? The truth is complicated. On one level, it's about strategy. Mensa and her team are trying to investigate anomalies on the planet, blank spots in the map that the company's AI refuses to acknowledge. To do that, they need freedom from surveillance. And whether Murderbot likes it or not, it's still company property, at least on paper. But there's also emotional weight here. Mensa is beginning to suspect that something is deeply off with Murderbot. Not dangerous, not evil, but unstable. It's showing signs of what the humans can only describe as an emotional crisis, which isn't exactly a feature listed in the SecUnit manual. Mensa visited it in the middle of the night, likely trying to connect, to empathize, but what she saw only added to her worries. At the same time, the rest of the Preservation O team is divided. Garathan, in particular, is openly suspicious. He believes anything coming from the company is a threat, no matter how polite or quiet it seems. And when Murderbot shows signs of free will, or worse, emotional investment, it only confirms his fears. So they left it behind, thinking they'd be safer. They were wrong.
Go for the perimeter thing. Garathan was a hard nut, and I could feel him starting to probe.
Interrogation, a battle of logic and paranoia. While the rest of the team is off exploring, Garathan takes the opportunity to have a one-on-one with Murderbot. What starts as a forced chat quickly turns into a psychological interrogation. Garathan's interest in constructs comes from a place of both science and fear. His homeworld believes in giving synthetic life equal rights, but this isn't utopia. Garathan still draws a line when it comes to safety. He wants to know what Murderbot is, what it's capable of, and most importantly, if it's malfunctioning. Murderbot, as usual, wants no part in this conversation. It's already uncomfortable around humans, and being psychoanalyzed by one it barely tolerates is agony, but it plays along, pretending it's just a regular old bot programmed to mimic emotions. He knows what he's looking at, a construct that's lying, that's hiding something, and maybe even trying to understand itself in a way no machine should. Then, there's the hilarious moment of accidental revenge. When Garathan tries to snoop in Murderbot's memory archives, he gets a front row seat to a very private throuple moment involving Arata, Pinley, and Rathi. Maybe next time, he'll think twice before hacking a sentient construct. Still, the encounter ends with a revelation. Murderbot admits vaguely that its memory was erased. It doesn't know what happened before it was refurbished. That alone is a massive red flag. Something happened, something worth wiping, and now Garathan knows it too.
Attack. But was too stubborn to turn around.
Mensa's dangerous mission. Back in the field, things are getting dicey. Mensa and Bharadwaj head out to explore one of the mysterious blank zones in the map. Murderbot, still stuck back at the hub, is furious, not just because it was excluded, but because it knows the area is dangerous, and it's the only one equipped to deal with that kind of threat. Bharadwaj stays behind in the hopper as backup, while Mensa goes solo on the hike. It's a tough journey, physically and emotionally. Mensa breaks down partway through, likely from exhaustion and panic. And though Murderbot isn't there in person, it somehow feels her fear through the connection. It understands her panic, and worse, it cares. That might be the most terrifying part for Murderbot, caring. The danger becomes real when Mensa gets too close to a massive centipede. These aren't bugs you squash with a boot. They're monstrous, alien, and potentially lethal, but the creature doesn't attack, it just watches. That's when the weirdness ramps up. The crater and the dead things. Before she reached the centipede, Mensa had Paradwaj send a drone over the center of the map anomaly. What they see is a crater surrounded by dead centipedes, almost as if something inside the crater killed them all. When the drone moves in closer, boom, it's blown to pieces by an unseen force. This moment shifts the tone of the episode from eerie to outright chilling. Something is hiding out there. Something that kills giant creatures, wipes out drones, and messes with the planet's geography. And the worst part, preservation. Always still has no idea what they're dealing with. Mensa returns shaken, but physically unharmed. Gurathan, realizing how wrong he was, is full of guilt. Had Murderbot been allowed to go with them, this might have been avoided. It's the second time now Murderbot has saved a life without ever firing a weapon, but the tension in the group is changing. They're not just wary of Murderbot anymore, they're starting to depend on it. The DeltFall Massacre, what we know, and what the books reveal. The episode ends with a grim discovery. The Preservation O team tries to contact another survey group on the planet, the DeltFall team, but no one answers. In the books, specifically All Systems Red, the novella that started it all, we already know what happened to DeltFall. Their entire team was slaughtered. Even their SecUnit was destroyed. It wasn't some wild alien predator or freak natural disaster. It was sabotage. Grey Chris, the shadowy corporate entity in Murderbot's world, had hacked the DeltFall SecUnits. They installed a malicious combat override that forced the constructs to kill their own clients. One of them even tried to upload the same override to Murderbot. Fortunately, Mensa and her team intervened just in time. So if that's the road the show is going down, and all signs point that way, then what we're dealing with isn't just a spooky crater or creepy wildlife. This is corporate warfare. Grey Chris is hiding something massive on this planet, and they're willing to murder entire survey teams to keep it quiet. That crater could be alien tech, or ancient ruins, or a weapon. Whatever it is, Grey Chris wants it for themselves, and the Preservation Awe team is now a threat to their secrecy.
Okay?
Sure. What could possibly go wrong?
Murderbot's growing conflict. Throughout episode 2, Murderbot is pulled in two directions. On one hand, it wants nothing more than to be left alone with its soap operas and sarcastic inner monologue. On the other, it's slowly, painfully developing something like emotional investment in the humans it's supposed to protect. It's trying out comfort phrases it learned from TV. It's worrying about people it claims to find annoying. And worst of all, it's starting to care about what they think of it. That's what makes this story so compelling. Murderbot isn't on some noble quest for humanity. It doesn't want to be Pinocchio. It just wants autonomy. But along the way, it's forced to grapple with what it means to exist in a world that treats synthetic life as expendable. And now that it's hinted at the trauma of having its memory wiped, the question becomes, what exactly was so terrible that the company had to erase it? And what happens when those memories start coming back?
Try to recover that memory, will you?
Our nerdy thoughts. The preview for episode 3 promises more answers. Mensa is determined to investigate DeltFall's camp. The team is closer than ever to uncovering what's really behind the anomalies. But with Grey Chris possibly monitoring their every move and unknown dangers lurking beneath the surface of this planet, things are only going to get more intense. We already know from the books that the conflict is going to explode soon, literally and emotionally. Murderbot may be Preservation O's only chance at surviving what's coming, but it'll also be forced to reckon with the question it's been avoiding since day one. Who am I really, and what was I made to do? And for the rest of us watching, buckle up. The slow burn is almost over. The fight for truth, identity, and survival is about to begin. If you're loving Murderbot so far, let us know in the comments. Do you trust Gurathan? Do you think Murderbot's telling the full truth about its past? And what do you think is hiding in that crater? Is it aliens, ancient tech, or just more corporate horror? Don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into Apple TV's Murderbot series. And we'll see you next week for episode 3's full breakdown.